especially first lap at the start. Then we have this long right-hander. You need to be very calm on throttle, shifting up to fourth gear. Then we come to the second or third corner, third gear. That's also a possibility to overtake in the race. Now again we're shifting up 2 gears to fifth. And now we are reached the fastest corner off the track, the triple left, which is very difficult to drive. You need to find a good line and then you go directly into this right-hander. Third gear. Again, you need to try to have a good exit. Now this very fast chicane in fourth gear, you need to find a good line and especially to have a good exit for the long straight, for the back straight. Again, up to sixth gear. We reach also nearly same speed as on the main straight. Then we go 2 gears down, fourth. Very fast chicane, right, left. And now we go to this right-hander, also again a very fast corner, and now the final and very important corner, third gear. Here you need to find a good exit for the main straight that you can overtake during this straight, and that was our lap at Oschersleben.
I'm now here with Gary Peffert. Gary, now the season is not very old. It's the second race weekend, the second race today. However, so far it's been pretty disillusioning for Mercedes-Benz. What is going on and how disappointing is it for you so far?
It's obviously not what we wanted and not what we expected from the start of the season. And obviously Hockenheim was very disappointing. We seem to be slightly improved here as a team. But it's going to be a tough race today after qualifying, so it's very disappointing, obviously. The reasons why are difficult to say. I mean, obviously we just lack performance. The car isn't nice to drive. It's hard to drive. The balance isn't perfect, and that's half the problem. You know, last year we had a quite nicely balanced car and it wasn't that hard to drive, but we weren't that quick. But now it's difficult to drive, you know, and especially at a circuit like we have here at Oschersleben. It's a tough circuit, and to have a car that is difficult to drive, it makes it especially difficult.
And now the last victory for Mercedes-Benz was here, I think 4 years ago with Paul di Resta, and you actually won here twice as well, twice already. But what can we expect from you?
I've had a few good races here. I mean, let's see what happens. The tyre degradation is going to be higher than Hockenheim, so it's not going to be quite as simple to decide what tyres, you know, to sort of start on, and the decision hasn't been easy really, and it's going to be interesting to see how we manage the degradation of the option tyre, and you know, depends how the weather goes. I mean, there's always a chance of rain here. Over the last 3-4 days we had showers here and there, so if we have a bit of a shower mid-race, then you never know, we have a chance of scoring points or even better.
All right, well, I'm crossing my fingers. Thank you very much, Gary.
Okay, so here we go with the starting grid. Thanks very much to Verena. Front row now then, Marco Wittmann and Adrian Tombe alongside.
The second row of the grid, you find Antonio Felix da Costa, Timo Scheider's Audi alongside the BMW.
So next in order then we see the champion, Mike Rockenfeller, and alongside him is Bruno Spengler.
And then to line up on the fourth row of the grid, Edo Mortara for Audi, Augusto Farfus for BMW.
So to the next row of the grid we go, and it's Pascal Wehrlein with Jamie Green alongside.
Everybody moving up one space after the penalty for Molina. That puts Ekstrom 11th, Tomczyk 12th, Audi ahead of BMW. Well, Molina, who was the fastest man in qualifying, excluded from the session. Big disappointment. Let's join Verena.
And now I'm here with Marco Wittmann, who's already sitting in his car and he's just getting all adjusted in there. Now, obviously, he's the winner of the Hockenheim Ring and surprisingly overnight also heir to pole position. So certainly that is going to be very, very good for him, and certainly he will be very pleased about that. Now I'm just going to find out whether he's happy about the changing weather conditions and if he's confident to actually ace the race. So let's see what I can actually get in there. I just need to ask one question real quickly. But obviously safety goes first, that is for sure. And I'm sure that Marco is also focusing already on the race because it's going to begin in just a few seconds. If I could just quickly ask a question, Marco. Are you confident to ace the race, or are you a little bit worried about the weather conditions?
No, for the moment not. It looks quite stable for the moment, so I'm quite confident. I think I have the best position to start and yeah, try to do my best, and let's see where we end up at the end.
All right, well, best of luck. Thank you very much, Marco, and let's see if he can be the winner once again. Who knows? So best of luck for Marco, and back to you guys.
Thank you, Verena. Well, of course, Marco comes here high in confidence, doesn't he, following Hockenheim? And the elevation to pole position was unexpected for him, but nonetheless, he put in some great qualifying laps.
He did indeed. He was half a second off Miguel Molina's best. Why Molina was penalised is all to do with a non-conformity of the rear wing end plate on his car. Matthias Ekström was a frustrated man yesterday. He felt he should be higher up on the grid. Well, he's gained one place, so he will start 11th, but he wasn't really sure where the pace had gone to. And bear in mind, this is the man who is second in the championship, starting 11th. He has got work to do. Things are changing in the DTM. He's still only 35 years of age, Matthias Ekström, but he's now the oldest man on the grid, and the young guns are all around him, and they're getting quicker and more of a threat all the time.
Absolutely. Also a threat is, of course, as many drivers have mentioned already, it is the weather conditions. It's very overcast at the moment. We have had some showers this morning, and earlier on the forecast did predict that any time we could get some showers, and that would really change the shape of this race. So the tyres, of course, the drivers have chosen which tyres they want to run on from the very start of this race. And also, for the first time here in Oschersleben, the first time in this 2014 season of DTM, we're running with performance weight.
And that means that the brand which has the best top 10 results at the first round, or the previous round, so in this case round 1 at Hockenheim, the cars in the top 10 carry 5 kilos, and then outside the top 10 it's 2.5. What does that mean? Augusto Farfus carries 5 kilos, so does Joey Ham, so does Bruno Spengler, so does Martin Tomczyk, so does Timo Glock, and of course Marco Wittmann as the race winner. Maxime Martin and Antonio Felix da Costa carry 2.5 kilos each. Has it mattered? Well, seemingly it hasn't made a great deal of difference at all.
And of course, for Mercedes, a weight reduction, effectively, because of their performance at Hockenheim. That means that they go into this with no weight penalty, in fact a reduction, which should play into their hands. So, shot here of Oschersleben, if anything, will play into the hands of Mercedes-Benz. The fact that they have reduced weight and some rather nasty weather might help, David.
Absolutely right. You can see the way the grid is going to line up and the qualifying times, but Miguel Molina was half a second faster than anybody, but his time taken away. He will start flat last. Dieter Gas, the man in charge of Audi's DTM project, very open and honest about the fact that it was a mistake. They messed up. He feels very sorry for Miguel Molina, who did a really good job in that qualifying session yesterday. One or two of the drivers, such as Augusto Farfus, for example, who didn't make it into Q3, elevated by one place on the grid. Farfus, always a man to watch. I think it's a great-looking car, that. It's a good livery. And Farfus, very spectacular driver, one of the many who's come out of single-seater racing, former Euro 3000 champion. He had his spell for Alfa Romeo in 2-litre touring car racing, and he'll be one to watch around here. So too, Eduardo Mortara, who is going to be starting lower down on the grid. 7th he will start. Let's hear, though, from Dieter Gas of Audi. He now is with Verena.
Dieter Gas, quick question now. Yesterday seemed to be a really good day with a pole position and 5 Audis in top 8. Then overnight, Molina was disqualified. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I think we have to accept it. The car didn't comply with the rules at the end of the day, and this is the result of it. I mean, obviously it's very harsh, in particular for Miguel, because for sure this overlooking of this measurement from our side did not make half a second. So it's very harsh, but that's the rule. We have to get on with it. Today, I think we have completely open conditions with the weather, and we try to do the best with it. We still have 4 Audis in the top 8, so we're still in a very good position, and we're going to push.
But do you also have a really good strategy, since now you have to chase Marco Wittmann?
No, we're not looking so much after Marco Wittmann. We are looking after winning the race on our side. That's what we're pushing for.
All right, thank you very much, Dieter Gas, and back to you guys.
Dieter Gas, very, very open there about holding hands up and saying, look, you know, it's not Miguel's fault, it's our fault, we've got it wrong. The point he made that I want to take up with you is the fact that there was no half a second advantage there, which makes Molina's qualifying lap incredible, doesn't it? The speed he had yesterday.
He would say there's no performance gain, because that's what you say to the stewards when you go there to get your penalty. I'm sure there is some gain, because otherwise they wouldn't put the end plate as far back as they possibly could, and that's what he has done on any racing car he's ever built. He's also admitted that this morning. There's got to be some gain. There's not half a second's worth of a gain, I accept, and therefore you're quite right to point out how well Molina did in qualifying yesterday, but there's got to be some gain by positioning it where you do. Antonio Felix da Costa, new to the championship this year, starting third in the Red Bull liveried BMW, and he has been a gun this weekend. He's looked very strong indeed, and bearing in mind that it's only his second DTM race and he was 21st at Hockenheim, this has been a massive turnaround in fortune. Adrian Tombay finding himself once again on the front row of the grid, and here's a man who in DTM terms looks like he's come of age this year.
Absolutely, and it's great to see Adrian Tombay there. And just talking of Antonio Felix da Costa, the result from Hockenheim doesn't really belie actually what he did in terms of performance. Unfortunately, he blotted his copybook a little bit, but what about this man, though, at Hockenheim? Did everything that he needed to do, and now he finds himself elevated one place to pole position. So Marco Wittmann, who's a quiet individual, and he takes everything very, very seriously, and he'll be feeling the pressure now to do it again from pole position here at a very, very different circuit to that of Hockenheim, Oschersleben.
Absolutely right, but isn't it good to see the grid lining up as it is with the young guns at the front, Wittmann, Tombay, Felix da Costa, that the top three, and then a former double champion in Timo Scheider next on the grid. And Scheider, I would have thought, is still going to be a big factor here. Scheider for the podium, yes, as a prediction. Scheider for a win, don't rule it out.
No, absolutely you shouldn't. So the Ice Watch livery then on the pole sitting BMW. Right alongside is Adrian Tombay then in the all-black Audi. The grid then, it's Wittmann, Tombay, Felix da Costa. Then it's Scheider, Rockenfeller, the champion of course. Then Spengler, Mortara, Farfus, Wehrlein, Green, Ekstrom, Tomczyk, Martin, Müller, Hand, Vitoris, Paffett, Glock, Wickens, De Resta, Juncadella, Petrov, and now right at the very back, Miguel Molina.
Quick word, get some of the admin out of the way here, because there's the pit window between 17 and 34 laps. You can only do a maximum of 25 on the option tyre that's introduced this year. Only one pit stop under the regulations. Who is starting on the options and therefore should be quicker than others in the first stint? Wittmann from pole is on the options. So is Tombay, so is Antonio Felix da Costa, and so is Timo Scheider, who lines up fourth. Spengler, sixth, is on options. Jamie Green is on for the fifth row, and he's on the options. So is Martin Tomczyk, Joey Hand, Gary Paffett, Robert Wickens, and Miguel Molina. They are all nominated as starting on the option tyre, and as the cars are released onto the final warming up lap to get temperature into the Hankook tyres, the spots of rain, look, are starting to fall.
Well, it was as almost if it could happen, couldn't it? Just as we start the race there, Jens Marquardt looks up into the sky, frowns. The umbrellas begin to go up in the crowds here. As you can see, it is just starting to come down. Wow, there couldn't be a worse time, could there? Just as the drivers are preparing for the start of this DTM race here at Oschersleben, just maybe it is beginning to rain.
I don't think it's heavy enough to be a problem at the moment. I'm looking out in the crowd in front of us. There aren't that many umbrellas, there aren't many hats going on either, so there might be a spot or two, but it's not coming to anything at the moment. But the teams, no doubt, will be on the radio to the drivers to say there are some spots of rain in the air. The drivers will be aware of that, but I think certainly the race can get underway without fear of too wet a road. Although, having said that,
Scheider's got his wiper on.
Absolutely right. This is the grid. Look at the yellow marks to see who is on those option tyres. So expect Wittmann, Tombay, Felix da Costa and Scheider to scamper away early doors. The fascination is going to be to see who is the best of Class B, as you might say, on the standard tyre. They're going to be slower to begin with, but see how much time they will or will not lose. And if it's going to rain later in the race and you've already gained an advantage on the options in the first stint, you're going to be in the pound seats.
Yes, absolutely, and well, that's a strategy that will have been thought about. And now Marco Wittmann then from pole position. You can see the spots of rain on his windscreen there. Oh, well, it couldn't have come at a worse time, really. There is the track, 3.696 kilometres here. Lap record held by Joey Hand, a 1:21.255 from Joey Hand. And, well, we will see as the cars come into grid order then. Marco Wittmann then elevated up into pole position as Miguel Molina then, for that regulation problem, goes right to the back of the order. And there is the team boss of BMW, Jens Marquardt. There's Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich from Audi. And, of course, there is Mr. Schattling from Mercedes-Benz. Sure, I've seen Toto Wolff across this weekend. You have, David, as the cars come into the back of the grid, and already
Down the pit lane is Christian Vitores. He's gone onto wet tyres. Look at this. And also coming in is Daniel Junqueira. So Mercedes with cars at the back of the grid, nothing to lose. They put them on wets.
Absolutely. Right. This is going to be very interesting indeed. We'll throw the lights up into the screen for you. We're going to head towards the first turn here at Oschersleben. We are away and racing. And look at this, it's a mad dash. Timo Scheider trying hard. Antonio Felix da Costa as well. We're on board with Pascal Wehrlein, but Wittmann is going to lead into turn one.
Bad start by Tournbay. He's trying to recover as they wriggle their way through turn one. Wide he goes. Look, he's down in 5th place. Da Costa up the inside. Jamie Green gets forced out wide as well. But a great start by Wittmann. He leads. You're on board with Ekstrom. Wiper on. Spots of rain are falling.
So there was Jamie Green then, who got hounded out at the start. But Marco Wittmann is doing what he needs to do right at the front of the pack, and that's try and get up the road a little bit. So the Mercedes there as we go on board with Matthias Ekstrom. We've got 2 Mercedes ahead of us that we can see. And the rain is beginning to come down. What is that going to play into the start of this race?
Farfus goes wide and loses a place. The one that's gained off the start is Timo Scheider. He's up into 2nd place. It's Wittmann leading. Scheider is 2nd. Da Costa and Tournbay 3rd equal because they were side by side at the last corner pretty much. But I think you're going to find Tournbay is ahead. Yes, he is. So 4th then. Behind him is Antonio Felix da Costa. Spengler runs in 5th as they work their way down Stadium Straight. And there, look, Tournbay looking for a way past fellow Audi driver Timo Scheider as Marco Wittmann is getting away.
Yes, Marco Wittmann doing exactly what he needs to do. There's Mike Rockefeller going through. There's Gary Paffett. There, 2 of the Mercedes together, Pascal Wehrlein and Robert Wickens.
Farfus attacks Rockefeller to the inside, and he's done it. Great move. Rockefeller made a small mistake, and Farfus seizes the opportunity.
Jamie Green once again running out a bit wide there. So as they cross the line to complete the first lap, it's Wittmann from Timo Scheider, but Tournbay is fighting back.
Down they come through turns 1 and 2. Scheider goes a little bit wide. Tournbay tries to get the drive at the inside. There's not really a gap, and Scheider cuts across. That battle as well, don't forget, between Farfus and Rockefeller is for the lead of those on the harder tyre, and Rockefeller has gone wide and Jamie Green's gone at the inside of him. Jamie Green gains a place, but he's on the option. He's on the softer tyre.
So now Tournbay is having to defend as well because Antonio Felix da Costa is on his way. Then it's the BMW bank car of Bruno Spengler. There goes Augusto Farfus. There's Jamie Green and Gary Paffett. So Paffett up to P10 then. And these, you can see the 2nd pack of cars there on your screen. And Jamie Green looking very, very hard. And him and Gary Paffett side by side there.
Paffett round the outside. Don't forget Gary Paffett is on the option tyre as well, and he's done it. He's gone round the outside. Really brave stuff this. So Paffett gaining ground. Augusto Farfus is the leader of the standard tyre battle at the moment, the prime as it were. Gary Paffett and Jamie Green behind him are on the softer compound. That's why they've got the car speed at the moment. Christian Vitores is still 22nd and Daniel Junqueira is 23rd, and they're the 2 on wets, remember.
Yes, so bear that in mind. Just 1 or 2 more umbrellas going up outside our commentary booth here on the main straight as Marco Wittmann completes another lap. Timo Scheider is some 8 tenths behind him. We're on board with Gary Paffett now, who's hounding Augusto Farfus ahead of him. Gary Paffett, hugely experienced, of course, loves this Oschersleben circuit. And what about that, David?
Great move, but Farfus knew it was inevitable because that's a car on the softer tyre, so Farfus gave him the racing room. What he doesn't want to do is lose track position against Rockefeller, who's the next on the hard compound, and Rockefeller is fading away, look. Robert Wickens is another man on the softs, and he has carved his way up onto the back of Farfus. Jamie Green has gone through, but Paffett is absolutely flying. A big spin, look in the background. That's Mortara who has looped it. Cars scatter in every direction. He survives. They all survive, but that is going to drop him way, way down the order. That will put him 21st as Petrov goes by. Now, at the moment, the 2 that are on the wets are lapping much, much slower than those on the slick tyres. I don't think it's the right call.
No, maybe not. So it looked there like it got just a little touch from the Guix Mercedes. Let's see. There you go. On board with Pascal Wehrlein, and we can see exactly what happened there, and he just rotated that car, didn't he?
The real avoidance was done by those behind who had to scatter in every direction. So we've done 2 of 51 laps at Oschersleben. The race leader is Marco Wittmann. He's 8 tenths up on Timo Scheider, who lapped quicker last time and is lapping quicker in the middle sector on this lap. And there's Rockefeller losing another place. As past him goes Miguel Molina from 23rd. Molina started. And now as he comes across the timing line, let's see where he's going to be, because he's been gaining places all the way around the lap. He is 11th from 23rd.
Now we can see Augusto Farfus once again being mugged through that turn 1 there. There is just that message there. I didn't say the start of that, which said a car under investigation for pushing another car, but it doesn't tell us which one.
No, exactly. There's no number in all of that. It may well have been Wehrlein, of course. Now, this is Timo Glock in replay, having a go at Matthias Ekström. And Glock is on the harder tyre and gaining a place. That's interesting.
Well, whilst we've been watching various things here, Gary Paffett, P7. So Wittmann, Scheider, then it's Tombe, De Costa, Spengler, then it's Tomczyk, then it is Paffett. Here is our race leader, Marco Wittmann, then, with Timo Scheider in P2. And look at this, you wouldn't have thought in the same camera shot, the way things have been going, that we would see Gary Paffett. Of course, he is running the option tyres.
But he's now in a group of cars that are all on the option tyre, and he's 5.3 seconds behind the race leader. That is a fantastic performance to get through the traffic. He's got the speed on those soft tyres. Paffett is like an absolute revelation in this race, a different man from yesterday.
So here we see Joey Hand now, who is going to get past Mike Rockenfeller. Indeed he does, in the BMW. So Rocky goes down yet another place. So we're on lap 4 of the 51 laps here at Oschersleben in this, the second round of the DTM. And Augusto Farfus yields there once again. And next in his target sights will be Joey Hand. But we're on board with Gary Paffett now.
The quickest man on the circuit is Gary Paffett. You may not be surprised about that. And that means that he is lapping just under 2 seconds a lap quicker, 2 seconds a lap quicker than Farfus, who is the leading driver on the harder tyre, the prime tyre. And that's the fascination now, to see how much time Farfus, as the leader of that group, is losing against those on the option.
And also to factor into that, of course, is the conditions, which will make a difference as well. But Gary Paffett, what a remarkable job he is doing up there in P7. So Wittmann, Scheider, then it is Tombe, De Costa, Spengler, Tomczyk, then it is Gary Paffett. So through the S's they go. Vitaly Petrov, you can see just at the back of the shot there. There is Joey Hand, there's Mike Rockenfeller. There, the all-yellow Deutsche Post. BMW of Timo Glock. Some fantastic shots we're able to bring you of this DTM race action here at Oschersleben. It is round 2 in the DTM Championship for 2014, featuring 7 champions on the grid. Real mix of fantastic drivers. Let's see a replay of this start.
So the lights go out, good getaway by Wittmann, but it's Scheider from the 4th rank on the grid who darts between the 2 front row cars. See it from another angle. Scheider floors the throttle, and Tombe it was who was just a little bit sluggish away. Scheider elbows out, comes through. Antonio Felix da Costa tries the outside line. Bruno Spengler gets up the inside. Now Tombe was about to go backwards, but he braked really late, and this was brave stuff because he stood his ground on the outside all the way round turns 2 and 3. And even though he looked like he was being squeezed a little, he managed to hang on in there. Another replay of the start from on board the front row car of Tombe, and there, just brushing his way past Timo Scheider. Spengler comes up on the outside, Rockenfeller on the very far right of the shot, down towards turn 1. No contact, which is really good to see between them, apart from that little brush. But Tombe on the outside line stood his ground and worked his way back up into 3rd place. This is Timo Glock's view, of course. He was much further down the order. Gary Paffett made a ripper start, round the outside and gaining places. And looking back, Joey Hand just getting involved ever so slightly in a nudge against the Mercedes. Christian Vitores has a pit stop penalty of 5 seconds for pushing another car, a legacy of that Mortara incident, and a spin in replay from Gary Paffett. Gary Paffett spins. Now, how long ago was that? Because it's just on that previous lap. He was running in 7th place, and now he has gone tumbling down the order. He will be as he comes across the line behind Farfus. He's down to 12th.
Well, I think it's Pascal Wehrlein that's got that penalty.
You're right. Sorry, what did I say?
So Wehrlein gets a 5-second penalty, and that for the contact on Mortara. So we're on board with Tombe. So Tomczyk goes up 6 places. After start ranking on the left-hand side of your screen there, you can see Scheider up 2, Tombe down 1, Felix da Costa down 1, up 1 for Spengler, up 6 for Tomczyk, up 3 for Green as we scroll through the rest of them there for you. Oh, and that's Paul de Resta. That is Paul de Resta.
Back on again, no damage done, but he's going to lose time, and of course that's not going to help that set of tyres. They're going to be very dirty now.
There is Timo Scheider, there is Adrian Tombe. So Wittmann with a 3-second margin over this pack that you can see that's being led by Timo Scheider as in the pit lane. Things being ready. Now Timo Scheider is really under pressure now from Tombe, and Tombe goes through.
He's up to second place, and as he does that, the rain has really arrived. Now, the fascination will be to see Vitoris and Junqueira to see now whether or not the road is wet enough for the wet tyres to work, because they've been really struggling up to this point. Tombe second, and here comes Da Costa at the inside for third. Is he going to go through? Yes, he is. Can he get the car slowed down in time? Yes, he can. He goes third then, and Scheider now struggling. So as they work their way out of turn 2, making the run down the pit lane is Joey Hand, so he is making the gamble. Also in has come Mortara and Wehrlein and Petrov, all pitting now. This is for wet.
Yes, absolutely. The weather conditions have changed dramatically. You can see from the lens of the camera that brings you this picture just how hard it is coming down now. Adrian Tombe, and look at this whole rack of cars coming into the pit lane, including Vitaly Petrov. You can see Paul di Resta just coming into the pit lane as well. So a number of cars are diving in for the wet weather tyres. The team's working supremely hard to get those cars. Edo Mortara's out again. There is the Paul di Resta car. Is there a problem with that? That's not a quick one by any means. They're stacking up behind Paul di Resta. It's going from bad to worse.
Couldn't get away. It was either that it wouldn't getting gear properly or there was another delay, but certainly di Resta loses a big chunk of time. There is Wehrlein, who has come in. He's got to serve his 5-second penalty anyway. Yes, apologies, it's Wehrlein. And that's a sideways Junqueira. And remember, he's on wet tyres. Now, at the end of this next lap, we're going to be able to see the leader come in. Wittmann comes in, and this is for wets. So I think it's come, really, this rain, too late for Vitoris and Junqueira. They've lost too much time early on, indeed. Junqueira comes over the line now, and his lap time is a 43. He's got to hope that others stay out for as long as possible. I think it was the right idea, but it's not worked.
Okay, so Marco Wittmann, and also in is Adrian Tombe. So now leading the race is Antonio Felix da Costa. That Hankook wet weather rubber is ready there. There is Bruno Spengler, Tomczyk, we just saw it shot there. In comes Adrian Tombe. But this, Marco Wittmann away. Also in is Jamie Green. Been in the thick of it has Jamie Green since the start of this race. So here comes Marco Wittmann then.
You've got everybody in. Look at the track. It's so clear.
I know.
Tombe's been in. Scheider has been in. Green, Wickens, Glock, Farfus, Rockenfeller, Ekstrom, Martin, Joey Hand we'd already covered. And there are one or two more coming down the pit lane now. Timo Glock arrives at his pit box. There's Mike Rockenfeller.
And there is Timo Glock done and dusted. Wet weather tyres on. And it's a real busy pit lane down there, isn't it? Oh! That was, well, a very, very close and tight release there.
Now, that's significant. Rockenfeller ahead of Farfus.
Absolutely.
That was the other way round before they came in. So on the pit stops, Rockenfeller, who was second in class on the prime tyre, if you like, behind Farfus, has gained track position. And Farfus goes to the back of Mortara. Farfus at the inside comes out ahead. That was opportunistic. Well done, Farfus.
So all the good work that Rocky had done gets undone. But the cars are twitchy, aren't they? They're out there, and Rocky is fighting back now.
But Farfus has the drive out of the corner. Isn't rain great? It does all sorts of things to a race. Augusto Farfus then hangs on to his notional class lead of those that were on the harder tyre, but not everybody is yet on wets. Now, the real fascination is coming from the fact that Da Costa has stayed out for another lap on slicks. What he wants is for the road to dry out, and then he'll have gained so much time over those that have pitted. Spengler is now in. Tomczyk is now in. Molina, out of 5th place, is now in as well. But Da Costa is staying out, and Gary Paffett has stayed out as well.
Yeah, now, we just saw on the main straight, we saw Da Costa going through, and we could just see Paffett as well. Paffett is some 12.6 seconds behind Antonio Felix da Costa as we see Spengler getting away there. Now, well, as a call, I guess, well, it's a real gamble, isn't it? But let's see. At the moment, Antonio Felix da Costa leads the race from Gary Paffett.
The best person to make that decision is the man in the seat, because he knows exactly what the track conditions are like. And if Da Costa feels that he can drive around the problem, what we don't really know yet is what a competitive wet weather lap time is going to be. We'll only see that evidence in a couple of laps' time from, say, Wittmann, as an example, when everything is up to temperature. If Da Costa has got enough warmth in the tyres, Dave, and can stay out there and get some benefit without losing time in the pit stop, and if the road dries out a little bit and it comes back to him, then he's done really well. And he and Paffett are chancing the arm a little bit here, but they have both stayed out. And that's Wickens on wets who's binned it. So what does that show you?
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say just before we saw the shot of Wickens that, you know, you've got the hugely experienced Gary Paffett.
Well, it was not totally down to the Canadian, was it? Because that was Molina who came out in a big hurry and wriggled away past, and that may have done some damage to Wickens' car, because at the next corner, look, there's no aero, and off he goes. Damaged suspension, damaged aero. Safety car is out on track, and Da Costa pits. He's got no real option under the safety car, has he?
No, absolutely. I was going to say, before we got that little bunch of incident, if you like, that, you know, you've got the old hand Gary Paffett out there with so much experience, and if anyone can drive a car in conditions that are not suiting it, it's this man, isn't it, Gary Paffett?
Who now leads.
Who now leads, of course. You would never thought that. You never predicted that. And Antonio Felix da Costa, of course, a rookie into the DTM. And it was amazing that it was those two drivers that decided to stay out there.
Yeah. Let me just clarify one thing quickly, which is that when it's the mandatory pit window and the safety car is out, the pit lane is closed. This is not within the window, so the pit lane is not closed, so that's why Da Costa has been able to make a pit stop.
Right.
So he gets back on track. He will lose places, but could have been a whole lot worse. And of course, they'll all bunch back up, so he'll come back into the game. He led at the end of the lap, but Gary Paffett is now the race leader. This is a replay of Timo Glock heading into the pit lane. He came in relatively early, and that was Farfus going off ahead of him. So that's another contributing factor to why Rockenfeller got out ahead of him. Can you overtake in the pit lane? They haven't quite got to the white line, in fairness, but if a bloke goes off ahead of you in pit in, you haven't got much choice but to go past, have you?
No, you're not going to stop, are you? Okay, and this was the problem with the Paul di Resta pit stop. Just seeing that from the back end there.
Farfus is under investigation. Tomczyk under investigation. I know no more than that for why at the moment.
So there we can see the replay of the Farfus Rockenfeller little battle that went on. So
that, I think, was when Gary had his spin, possibly. The Onyx Mercedes. We'll give the order at the end of this next lap, because it's Gary Paffett who now leads the way. Marco Wittmann is the man in second place, but I'm afraid the Paffett gamble of staying out has sort of come to naught now because of the safety car. Everybody has caught back up to him. He's not really been given an opportunity to build a lead.
And that's a great shame in many ways, isn't it? Because it has been a remarkable performance early stages from Gary Paffett, hasn't
and
it?
What's he going to do? Is he going to stay out? What he wants to do now is stay out until lap 17 and then come in and go on to the, it'll be for him, the harder tyre, the prime tyre. But of course, he will only therefore need to make one pit stop, whereas everybody else will have to make the regulation pit stop anyway within that window.
Yes. Yes.
So he might, it might come back to him, because he will only stop once in real time. All the people that are up with him have got to stop anyway.
Going to be very interesting how this plays out, isn't it? What the weather can do.
So Gary Paffett, the race leader. Gosh, I never thought I'd be saying that. Marco Wittmann is second, Adrian Tombay is third, fourth Timo Scheider, fifth Antonio Felix da Costa, so that was a good stop, he didn't lose too much time. Sixth Jamie Green, seventh Bruno Spengler, eighth Martin Tomczyk, ninth Miguel Molina from 23rd, 10th Joey Hand, 11th Timo Glock, who had power steering issues yesterday, 12th Edo Mortara, 13th Augusto Farfus. Replay here of the Wickens off with the damaged aero and the damage to the front right corner. Off he goes into the tyre wall. Farfus then 13th, Rockenfeller 14th, Ekstrom 15th. Martin runs 16th ahead of Nico Müller, ahead of Paul di Resta. Vitoris is 19th, Petrov is 20th. Wehrlein is still to serve his 5-second penalty, I think. John Cadelia is 22nd, and then Wickens is out of the race, as we have seen in the gravel.
So, Paffett, Wittmann, Tombay, Scheider, Antonio Felix da Costa. Safety car still out. I've just taken a look outside our commentary booth, and it is still coming down, but it's not relentless, David.
it's not consistent either, is it? There are some moments where it really is pouring down and then it eases a little bit. What we don't know is whether it's consistent all the lap around. Remember, of course, that Junqueira and Vitoris went onto their wet tyres at the very start of the race, so those will be up to temperature. That might now give them a bit of an advantage, do you think, on this restart? It might, but the trouble is that, of course, they are going to be slightly past their best, having been on a dry-ish road to begin with, so we will see. So Gary Paffett, who is still on slicks, don't forget, and as I've said, he's trying to stay out there until lap 17, but the dice were rolled, but the safety car's not helped.
No, the safety car has really compromised that strategy, hasn't it? But as you made the point, it could come back to him. Because
everybody will have to make a further pit stop, so he'll be in that group. The problem is now second-guessing how many racing laps we're going to get up to 17. If we go green at the end of this lap, he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because he will lose time by tiptoeing around. If we get to 16 or 17, still under the safety car, which I doubt, then he's okay to an extent because he won't lose too much time relative to a full green race situation. But yeah, it was a good idea. I'm puzzled though slightly now as to having been caught by the safety car why he's not come in, unless he feels that being put right to the back of the queue is an even bigger problem than being at the head of it tiptoeing around. He may be able to tiptoe and defend simultaneously.
Possibly. Well, time will tell as this incredibly dramatic start to the DTM Round 2 plays out. So, under the safety car, then we are here at Oschersleben. The weather playing its part, and if anything, it's coming down a little bit heavier now than it has. So, this could be all going away from Gary Paffett, I'm afraid to say. He'd done a remarkable job. As we see Mr. Shatling there on the pit perch, boss of DTM. Well, the Mercedes DTM program, and his driver out there, Gary Paffett, we are on board with right now. He's just taking a look, isn't he?
Safety car in this lap as well, so Gary Paffett is trying to assess where there might be some grip. I would not want to be Gary Paffett at the moment, with everybody stacked up behind and the necessity to push on a wet road on slick tyres, which will have lost some temperature anyway under the safety car.
Yes.
This really is going to be a test of the man, so good luck, Gary Paffett. We are set to go racing once again. Safety car in this time. Round 2 of DTM. We're on lap 13 out of 51. And at 17, the pit window opens for the mandatory regulation stop.
So what Paffett can do, of course, is back them up as best he can and try and get a bit of a flyer, but it is going to be only a bit of a flyer, isn't it, David? Because Marco Wittmann is just theoretically going to sail by, isn't he? Okay, so the safety car is in. And the spray comes up from Gary Paffett. Antonio Felix da Costa, the first to show. There goes Marco Wittmann. Then Tombe is in the mix as well as we go into turn 1. As Marco Wittmann overcooked it. I think he has. So Gary Paffett is able to hold on just for the moment. He's got Adrian Tombe now, and Wittmann rejoins.
And causes mayhem as cars go everywhere. Paffett has lost the lead. Tombe goes through, but who would have thought it? The car on slick survives. The car on wets goes off the road. Adrian Tombe is the race leader. Paffett second. Scheider is third. And Marco Wittmann makes a mistake. Jamie Green dives up the inside in the orange Audi, and Marco Wittmann is going down and down and down the order. Spengler's up alongside da Costa. Safety cars sometimes breed safety cars. Wittmann gets pushed out wide, and there could be another drama just around the corner in all of this spray.
Absolutely, the spray really being chucked up as Gary Paffett now loses out to Jamie Green.
And he's off the road and he's back on, but he's got no traction. Gary Paffett is really struggling, and I'm afraid this is it now. The plan has gone away.
Well, credit to him for really trying, and it was the safety car that absolutely ruined that. But oh, look at that, Joey Hand in there as that chicane got shortened a little bit, didn't it?
That was Molina, wasn't it, who had his own line. So Adrian Tombe looking for some traction. Jamie Green all of a sudden has arrived on the scene. He was 6th at the start of the lap and he's now 3rd. Wittmann has gone backwards, as we know, and others are still working their way through to the front. So the order at the end of this lap is going to be fascinating. Look at Glock round the outside of Ekstrom and into the side of Rockenfeller, and Glock goes off and goes around.
Oh, that was a wholly ambitious move, wasn't it? I wonder if that's done damage to Rocky's car, and another one goes. That's the rest have been punted off, David.
Maxime Martin was the aggressor in the white and blue Samsung BMW. So they come through at the end of the lap. It is Tombe leading. 2nd is Scheider. 3rd is Green. 4th is da Costa. 5th is Spengler. Wittmann is 6th. Tomczyk 7th, 8th is Mortara, 9th is Hand, and Gary Paffett still 10th, and he's still staying out there. All credit to the guy.
Amazing, isn't it?
Safety car again, Dave.
Yes, and just been told that we've got a 5-second time penalty for Augusto Farfus.
Okay, a pit stop penalty of 5 seconds. Yes, indeed. Safety car for the second time because of Glock being off the road, and I suspect also De Resta.
Yes. Well, Glock absolutely furious, as you can see there, as he tries to remove.
Sorry to go back to this, but this kind of helps Gary Paffett because everybody bunches up, and now he's going to be... Oh, he throws the door on the floor. That'll help, won't it? Yes. Gary Paffett loses less time again, relatively, while he is behind the safety car like this. The other one who I don't think has pitted is Vitoris. No, because he started on wets, didn't he? The same as Honkadea. So Paffett is the only one that is on slick tyres, and we are not far away from the pit window. So if Gary Paffett can hang on in there, and the safety car is going to help. We're on lap 15. You can pit at the end of 17. Then he stayed in the top 10.
Right, this was Glock and Rocky.
Yeah.
And see it from on board Matthias Ekstrom's car. I mean, it was a bold and ambitious move, wasn't it?
Especially in the wet. I think Timo has a case to answer there. And this will go down a storm with the mechanics because the door just comes off in your hand, doesn't it? Yes. Oh, look. New lightweight model, he thinks. And then Rocky on the wrong line clips Martin, who tries to get up the inside of De Resta, and they make contact, and the outcome is that the Scot goes off into the gravel bed.
Now, that was where Wittmann just carrying too much speed. He was never going to be able to turn in. Let's see it from on board with Marco Wittmann then. Tries to turn, and in those conditions just wasn't going to happen. He lost a huge bunch of places, didn't he? But he certainly didn't spend too much time looking in the mirror before he pulled back out again, did he?
I know I said early on, isn't rain a great thing, but it really does add something completely different to a race, especially where you've got pit stop strategy anyway, and especially where drivers have made that gamble to stay out on slick tyres or driver singular, the ever so brave Gary Paffett. Of those that started on the wet tyres, Vitoris 17th and Troncaderia now 19th. So, again, it was a good idea to try and roll the dice, but the rain didn't arrive quickly enough for them. Tombe it is leading the way, Scheide second, Jamie Green third.
Brilliant for Jamie, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I've got to say, Felix da Costa fourth. Antonio Felix da Costa has done a very good job as well in only his second DTM race because he's the real rookie against all these experts at the front of the field.
Exactly. Very much the point I was making with him and Gary Paffett. Talking of Gary Paffett down to P12, but remarkably...
How's he dropped to P12? We're behind the safety car. Now, is that because he's had a moment and run wide? But he was in the top 10 over the line, and he's now down to 12th. And we are behind the safety car. Discuss.
That's a fair point. There's Robert Wickens, who's also in discussion mode.
Yes.
With race engineers. Wish we could listen into that. It would be lovely to hear, wouldn't it? Okay, so the order then is Audi, and Jamie Green. What a race he's having.
Absolutely right, and it's been some good racecraft from Jamie, who comes from the school of hard knocks, of course. His very first racing was on the ovals in the UK in mini stock, so he knows all about sticking out his elbows and having a real go and being opportunistic. Replays of the tyre teams that work on those pit stops, putting the Hankook wets onto the cars. So still Gary Paffett is the man on slicks, but I'm still slightly puzzled as to how he lost that ground, because I was convinced he was 10th when the safety car came over the line.
Well, whatever. He's staying out, isn't he? And there's still an awful lot of spray being kicked up from the cars. The rain is still coming down. And there we can see good crowd of fans here enjoying DTM this afternoon in less than perfect weather conditions.
Paffett will gain one of these places back, incidentally, because Farfus is one of the drivers ahead of him, and he's got this pit stop penalty to serve, so that helps Gary by one spot, and we are now on lap 17, at the end of which the pit window opens. So everybody may as well come in and get the pit stop out of the way, but what you don't know is what the weather is going to do in that second stint. So do you come in now and get the pit stop out of the way, or do you leave it as late as you can, and then you know for the second stint whether you need to go on to another slick of whichever compound you have remaining, or another set of wets?
Yeah, and my view would be you're going to hold on for as long as you can, surely, because the conditions, I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to stay raining, to be honest with you. The cloud base is exactly as it's been all morning, which has meant showers. Okay, we've had a heavy shower and it's really, really affected the first part of this race, but is it going to stay like it, David? I wouldn't say so.
So we have the cars working their way onto the back straight. Yeah, I think you're right about this weather sort of coming and going. Yes, it is wet, but it's never been a torrential downpour. This is Adrian Tombé's view of the restart. Have a look at Wittmann on the outside line, and we've seen other people in other races do the same thing and run out of road. It looks like there's just much less grip in the braking zone on that section of the circuit. The safety car is going to be in this lap.
Saw the lights go out. So, okay, it's Tombé, Scheider, and Jamie Green. And I think at this restart, I'm going to keep my eyes firmly on the orange Audi that is currently P3. So Tombé then has backed them up and is away now and leads the resumption following the safety car with Tombé. There's Scheider, there's Green, Antonio Felix da Costa and Bruno Spengler. So Jamie Green not close enough to have a little go at Timo Scheider, but, well, fine performance from Jamie Green in the orange Audi. Gary Paffett stays out there and is right alongside Mark Rockefeller, and Rocky goes through. Paffett trying hard. I mean, you know, he's driving that car with slick tyres on.
He's doing his absolute best, as this is for second place as Jamie Green tries to get up the inside of Timo Scheider. Jamie driving like a man inspired, and Adrian Tombé likewise. He's never won a DTM race, although he has shone in the Munich non-championship stadium event, but he's building the lead while Scheider is busy fending off Jamie Green behind him in the Rosberg run Audi. Tombé it is with his Abt car that leads the way, and so it's Audi 1, 2, 3, BMW 4 and 5 and 6 and very nearly 7 because Tomczyk is in the mix, but you can see also we have Mortara coming under pressure. Let's see if we can catch up though with Robert Wickens in the pit lane.
Of course we can, because he's here with me now. It certainly is a jungle out there, and it hit you now. The race is over for you. What exactly happened?
Yeah, obviously the conditions were tough, and when Molina came out of the pits, I guess maybe he took too much entry speed into turn 2. We had contact, and then I got a puncture. So the next corner, I went straight into the barriers.
How frustrating is that?
Yeah, really tough. You know, this is a race that for Mercedes we could have scored some points in a position where normally we might not have been able to. So it's a pity. I think I was riding in the top 10 when it happened, and yeah, it's a shame because everyone in the team's working so hard.
Big shame. Thank you very much, Robert, and back to you.
Robert Wickens telling it the way it is. It is a big shame, of course. As look at this, Jamie Green and Scheider absolutely together now. What they can't afford to do is take each other out here. That would be just sheer lunacy, wouldn't it? But Jamie Green has got the right line now as they go through this right-hander, and Scheider, oh, Green goes so sideways. Antonio Felix da Costa, is he going to win out of this?
Green got on that painted curb where there's no traction. Da Costa tries to go around the outside of Scheider, and often there's a bit more grip to be found on the outside. He hasn't quite got the drive out of the corner. So he comes then now down towards the arena curve looking for a gap on the inside, but he's also defending because Spengler and Tomczyk and Wittmann are queuing up behind him. There's a kind of Formula BMW battle developing now with Da Costa at the head of it, and Spengler's trying to attack and defend all at the same time.
Now this is going to be very, very interesting because you can see it. Jamie Green is actually beginning to reel Tombé in. So we're on board with Marco Wittmann, who P7. Here comes Tombé then, and there, diving out of the spray in the orange Audi is Jamie Green. Jamie Green, absolutely an inspired drive from him.
Green quicker in the middle sector, so he's brought the gap down slightly against Tombé. He lost out in sector 1, but in that second sector of the lap, Jamie Green taking the fight to Adrian Tombé. It's looking very good for Audi, as now Spengler has to go defensive, because right on his tail now, look, is his Schnitzer teammate Tomczyk. This was Green versus Scheider.
So Jamie Green then really, really committed to this. Scheider loses a bit there, but Green just keeps his foot in and stays there. There's a little bit of a wing end plate, I think, goes off there. No, it's one of the arrows from the front of the car, Jamie's car, that gets lost in that contact. But as you said earlier, Jamie's pretty used to some rough stuff when need be. And there we can see Wittmann losing out there, and now pit stop window is open.
Indeed, and Gary Paffett comes in for his first pit stop. Mike Rockenfeller is in for his second stop, and Christian Vitoris, who started on wets, is in for his regulation stop as well. This is Gary Paffett, who will probably embrace a set of wet tyres physically, so relieved will he be to have them on the car at long, long last, because he has done a manful job staying out there on slicks for 19 laps.
Remarkable, absolutely remarkable, and a testament to the man's driving ability, truthfully, isn't it?
So he's back out again and heads down the pit lane. He needs another safety car now to bring him into the mix and to pick up places when others ahead of him make their pit stops, and it could yet happen given the way this race has been. Adrian Tambay leads it, the Playboy Audi ahead of the orange car, the Hoffman Group car in the hands of Jamie Green, who is closing right up, and at the moment Jamie Green's wet setup, you've got to say, looks better than that on Tombay's car.
Yeah, very much so. It was last time around just 6/10 as Juncadella there with a problem, as he had a moment, seems to get going again. So Juncadella, one of those, of course, that, well, he made his tyre choice early on, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he had an off. It looked like he was recovering, didn't it, in 17th place, Juncadella. As over the line come the leaders, 0.6 last time, 0.2 of a second now between the pair of them.
So this could be interesting into the turn. I'm not sure Jamie was quite close enough. Yes, he was. He's right alongside Adrian Tambay, and that's textbook from Jamie Green. He's done it. Jamie Green takes the lead here at Oschersleben. Tambay tries to fight back, but clearly the wet setup, as you said, on the Jamie Green car is bang on.
So did they go for a compromise and gamble that the rain was going to come? Because look at this, having got himself up through the pack and into the lead, Jamie is getting away, and his car looks happier in what are wet conditions rather than damp, which we had early on. Juncadella into the pit lane, and this was Green's move up the inside. Absolutely spot on. Tambay gave him racing room, but Jamie Green worked his way through to the front. Cracking move that.
So just seeing the back end of that replay then, and Jamie Green executed that absolutely perfectly. Further down the order, that's Farfus, and there is Juncadella.
Bang.
Who gets collected by Vitaly Petrov. As Juncadella's trying to get out of the way, Petrov not sure which way to turn and inevitably runs into him. So there we are. Here is Gary Paffett then, who is now on wet weather tyres. Juncadella coming back out onto the track from the pit lane. And this, our race leader, Jamie Green, and just look at the gap that he's been able to pull over Adrian Tambay, and Timo Scheider now beginning to reel Tambay in as well. So Green, as he crosses the line, so does Tambay. 1.8 seconds, David, in a lap.
Jamie Green is doing a very good job indeed. Absolutely no argument about that. And of course, he's being helped now by Tambay defending. So what that does is stack Scheider up behind him. In comes Farfus. This, I think, may be as much for the penalty. Yes, it is. Look, there's the stop-go board. So Farfus serving this pit stop penalty. After an earlier infringement, the car will be released any moment and blast down the pit road. Doesn't 5 seconds seem a long time when you're itching to get back in the race? And having done that, now he can come in and serve his regulation tyre stop. It's all bad news, this, for Farfus, of course, because he was looking strong early on as the best of those on the harder tyre at the start when it was dry-ish. Now he's gone tumbling down the order.
So Jamie Green leading then from Tambay, who's holding on to second place at the moment, but Timo Scheider runs really, really wide there. We can see from that high shot. And behind Timo Scheider is Antonio Felix da Costa in the Red Bull BMW, but there is Timo Scheider. But there's our race leader. Look at the gap that he is pulling away from the rest of the pack. Absolutely brilliant driving from Jamie Green, who is just enjoying this so much. Let's get the live gap there between Green and Adrian Tambay. Look at that, 3.7, David.
And he's also doing the right thing in going for the wetter part of the road. You know, as he came towards that shot at the end of the back straight, you saw the car move to the inside and back to the line. So he's trying to keep the tyres cool and get them to last as long as he possibly can. 34 laps is the end of the pit window. Jamie Green, bear in mind, has never won in an Audi. His last win, Mercedes Norris Ring 2012. He would love a first win in an Audi in a race like this. And there, back to his oval racing shale circuit roots, controlling a slide on a greasy surface. Tambay, fair play. He may have virtually a third of the field on his tail, but he's keeping them at bay.
So we're on board with Marco Wittmann, who's down there in P7 now. And Tombe is, as you say, keeping them at bay, and they are stacking up behind him. It's Tombe, then it's Scheider, then it is Antonio Felix da Costa. Then we see Spengler and Timo Scheider getting really close to the Playboy car now. Bit skittish under the acceleration there. You could just see the back end twitch and step out a little bit, which Adrian Tombe controlled. Now, just looking at this, the weather conditions, because that's, you know, what Green is going to be thinking about. You're saying there that he's doing exactly right. He's driving through, where necessary, the wettest part of the circuit, isn't he, to keep those wets on side.
And you see how skittish the cars are through that chicane, and of course they're not helped there by hitting the curb, which is certainly at the first part of the chicane high and unsettles the car, and then you get onto a wet curb where there's even less grip. So that's why they're a real handful. As Scheider has another look, but not confident enough to force the issue under braking. Antonio Felix da Costa, and I said it earlier on, he's proving to be a star, and there he is running fourth, and at the moment he's the best of the BMWs, keeping a former champion, one of 7 in the entry, Bruno Spengler, at bay.
And of course what he's doing at this moment is, you know, he can see the battle being played out between Tombe and Timo Scheider, and he's just ready to pick up any pieces there as we see Juncker Della retire. Yeah,
he's already made his regulation stop. That's at 23 laps he comes in, so another retirement, and it's another Mercedes, I'm afraid, as Robert Wickens was a retirement, admittedly for different reasons. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all pile down towards turn 1. And again, Adrian Tombe is the man who is able to hang on as they go through the arena curve.
So Marco Wittmann we are on board with right now. There is Jamie Green, some 7 seconds up the road from this man, Adrian Tombe, in P2. Timo Scheider's challenge on Tombe seems to have gone away a bit now because he's having to defend from Antonio Felix da Costa as Paul de Resta is back out again. But let's hear from Timo Glock, who is with Verena now.
Timo, you had a hot little battle with Rocky, and then after that you slammed into the wall. What exactly happened?
Yeah, I had a bit of, it was quite a rough first lap after safety car, and got into trouble with Mortara. He pushed me off the track after the triple left, and he lost a couple of spots. Tried to stay in front of Eki on the other straight, on the back straight. Braked very late into the next chicane, into the right-hander. Focused only on Eki. Didn't really look into Rocky, and I was a lot quicker on the outside. Just misjudged it totally and crashed into Rocky. I hope I didn't destroy his race. So totally my mistake. Need to apologize on that, and sorry for the team as well. I think we had a good pace, but I just made a mistake which should not happen.
And you had the door in your hand as well when you got out. What happened there?
Yeah, I was a bit too aggressive to opening the door, and then it just popped out. So, but put it back in, all okay.
Thank you very much, Timo, and back to you guys.
Cheers, Verena. I'm glad you noticed the fact that he discarded the door across the grass, but he did put it back, and all is okay. Right, we're back with it then. Jamie Green now 8.1 seconds.
It's a monster gap, isn't it?
Look how much of the sausage Gary Paffett took there. My goodness me, he is charging, isn't he? Where is he now? Back down P20.
Well, he's going to gain a place because Pascal Wehrlein has just pitted, and that's for his regulation stop. So the best of those that have made the regulation stop, Mike Rockenfeller, who is now going to be in 15th place overall. So don't forget that those cars ahead will have to peel in once more to serve the mandatory stop under the regulations. What Jamie Green here is trying to do is build up as big an advantage, but what are they doing? Are they going on to another set of wets? They have to, really, at the moment, don't they?
Yeah, I think it would still call for it, wouldn't it?
And therefore, if things dry out towards the end of the race, there could be another pit stop that everybody has to take because the wets may not last the distance.
No, you're quite right.
We've got half the race still to go.
Yes. So there is Tombe, there's Scheider, there is Antonio Felix da Costa, then it's Spengler, Tomczyk, and then Marco Wittmann. Bear in mind, Marco Wittmann, of course, starting from pole position, is P7 at the moment. Green, Tombe, Timo Scheider, Antonio Felix da Costa, then it's Spengler, Tomczyk, Wittmann. And here is Jamie Green then. Now, you can see there the very difference between the two sides of the straight there, and he is going for the wettest side, isn't he?
He started 10th on the grid, bear in mind, as well, and he leads now. He leads from 10th, and he leads by 9.4 seconds. It's an extraordinary drive, and a lot of that was just great racecraft by Jamie on the second restart.
Yes. So 25 of 51 laps then. Green leading by, as you've said, 9.4 seconds. This is our second place driver, Tom Bate, with Scheider, Antonio Felix da Costa in there as well. We go on board with Marco Wittmann right now, who's in P7.
I don't want to be awkward here.
Yeah, well, you're going to be.
But we're on lap 26 of 51, as you've rightly said. But there is a time slot for this race, and there are 26 minutes remaining. And 26 times 1 minute 35, which was the last lap, isn't going to fit into 26 minutes. And so we're not going to go to 51, and that will again affect the decisions being made on the pit wall about when to pit within this window and what rubber to put on. Okay?
Thank you. There is our race leader, Jamie Green, who is doing a remarkable job, come what may, with that 9.4 second advantage he has over this group of cars. And Danny Juncadella is with Verena now, a disappointed man, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure he is. How disappointed are you after the result of this race? I mean, not only did you take a spin, then also your colleague Petrov hit your car as well. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, the race itself, not much to say. It looked okay, but on lap, just before the last safety car, I lost my wiper. So when I was behind everyone, I couldn't see anything. So that's why I lost the car there, because I didn't really know where I was going. I was going to pit in that lap because I couldn't see with the guys in front. And yeah, then pretty much over when he obviously he collided with me because I was in the middle. But yeah, it was a strange weekend because I didn't get much driving yesterday, and today 20 laps. So
what is it like out there? I mean, it's such a chaos. It's so slippery. Everyone's sliding around. What is it like?
No, it's good fun. I mean, it looked okay from the beginning. We took the risk to go on the wet tires before the race started, and I think it was a bit optimistic, but we took the risk. And then it was good fun to drive, but as soon as I lost my wiper, it was terrible. I couldn't see anything, so yeah, it's a shame.
Big shame. Thank you very much, Danny, and back to you guys.
Thank you very much. And whilst you were talking to Danny Juncadella, everything was breaking loose as we're on board with Marco Wittmann. This is a replay. But through that first turn, David, Antonio Felix da Costa with a really ambitious move.
And this is it. He had a go at the inside of Scheider, who saw him coming, gave him as much room as he could. Scheider got bundled out the way, but da Costa was heading for the tyre stack. He braked and lost a whole heap of places as a result. Scheider lucky not to lose even more time. So Tombe gets a sort of get-out-of-jail-free card because his advantage now is increased, and others have been getting it wrong because that is Wehrlein, who goes off and does actually a carbon copy of the da Costa move and parks in exactly the same place, and he is still there. Is this a safety car period, I wonder? Because if it is, yes, it is! This throws the race upside down once again as Moliner is off the road as well. You couldn't make this race up.
Well, what drama we have had here as the safety car is deployed once again. Now, there's Pascal Wehrlein, who's not recovering from that. Well, I have to say, instinctively, I feel so sorry for Jamie Green, who'd built up 11.7 seconds, as we can see Robert Wickens looking on from the pit perch there. And this is Molina then,
who gets the powder down and the back breaks away, and he tries to save it, but he runs off wide.
I just wonder whether there was some gravel on the exit there, you know, that's been dragged out, which unsettled that. Did his best, didn't he?
Absolutely, but as soon as he's on that wet grass, you know, if that were Hockenheim, say, where there's extra tarmac, that would have been different. He could have saved that. Yes. But on wet, friction-free grass, then you're in strife. So, we are going to be behind the safety car. There's another replay of an incident. That was Moliner being squeezed by, was that De Resta?
Yes.
And Paul De Resta gets through, but in a rather ungentlemanly way. Right, safety car is deployed. We are in the pit window, but the pit window now, or the pit lane, is closed because the safety car is out, so nobody can pit. So the order remains the same. Jamie Green leading, but the advantage, as Dave Richardson has rightly said, will disappear. Second is Tornbay, third is Spengler, fourth is Tomczyk, fifth is Scheider, sixth is Wittmann, and there is Gary Paffett, who should be released from behind the safety car.
He'll be allowed, surely.
Yeah, the green light is on, which means you can go past, and what that will try and do is get the traffic pass. Yep, Gary has gone through, look, so that green light is to say you can go past, and then as soon as Jamie Green arrives on the back of the safety car, then everybody holds station. So this is what Gary Paffett needed. It gets him round onto the back, and don't forget as well, he has made his regulation pit stop. So when others peel out of the way ahead, that's a genuine gain of position for him, because he doesn't have to pit again.
Yes, you're right.
You with me?
I am,
okay.
completely. What I'm doing is just looking out the back door of our commentary booth, which is high on the home straight here, and I can report to you that it isn't raining now.
Great. Okay. And
how does that help you?
Let me just factor this into my calculations. They're all on wets, aren't they? And if you went onto slicks now, you wouldn't gain, because you can't, under the safety car, go at a speed to get the warmth in, and I reckon there's too much water on the track.
I think you're right.
I think they're going to have to put wets on and go to the end. And we've only got 26 minutes of the race remaining now. We are not, I don't believe, going to get to 51 laps. It's going to be to time.
To time, you're right. But it's if it does stop raining now, for the remaining time that we have left, the question is, how is that track going to perform? How is it going to dry out?
How's it going to dry out? But also factor in the time that you're going to lose on wet tyres. If you're against everybody on wet, it doesn't matter.
No, of course.
So the gamble is whether you'd be benefiting by going onto slicks, bearing in mind that here a pit stop loses you 30 seconds. It's a long drive to pit in, to pit out. The actual tyre stop is only, 4 seconds, but you're going to lose half a minute by making a pit stop. So you've got to be very sure that the road is dry enough for slicks to work to sacrifice half a minute.
Yes. Is that gamble worthwhile? It's only the guy that's sitting in the driver's seat that's going to be able to make that call, isn't it?
At the moment, I would say definitely not. And even late in the race, I think for 30 seconds, you won't have enough time left to claw it back.
No.
So I think they're going to have to go with what they've got.
Right. That's cleared that up. Thank you. Jamie Green, Tom Bay, Spengler, Tom Chick, Timo Scheider, Marco Wittmann. Then it's, Joey Hand up into P7. Antonio Felix da Costa. Matthias Ekstrom. And, wow, what a race this has been.
I've got a grid sheet here. I'm sure it's for a different race because it bears no relation to what's on the track anymore. It has been extraordinary. Marco Wittmann was the man on pole position. He's 6th. The man that was with him at the front, Adrian Tombay, in fairness, is still there or thereabouts, and Jamie Green's fans have got a lot to cheer about. Jamie has done a superb job in this race. Gary Paffett update. He is in 19th place. That's last, I'm afraid to say, and he should gain some places on this restart. As I say, partly through racecraft, partly through other people making pit stops. The best of those that have made a regulation pit stop is still, I think I'm right in saying, Mike Rockenfeller. No. Edo Mortara now. Edo Mortara, who has now got himself up to 13th place. Now, there are still 1 or 2 drivers, of course, who could go onto an option tyre, but it won't dry out enough for that to happen, I'm sure, before the end of the race. Those that started on the prime could use option later if they wanted, but...
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but let's just go back to the beginning of the race when it started raining. What was Paffett doing?
He was carving his way through on the options on a road that wasn't as wet as it is now.
Okay, so if the road dries out and gets itself to the same wetness, if you like, as it was when Paffett was doing as well as he did, let's not lose sight of the fact that Paffett is a supremely experienced racing driver as well.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, it is surely a possibility, isn't it? I do appreciate, what have we got left? 22, 23 minutes potentially?
Yeah.
Just saying.
But you're going to lose 30 seconds by making that pit stop. You have got to be 10 seconds a lap faster, for example, on a slick than on a wet. And who's going to be the first person to gamble on that to give all the other teams that data?
Okay.
Let's see. I wonder whether Matthias Ekstrom might be somebody bold enough to do that.
Possibly.
He's running in 9th place, but you see, that's points. Into the pits has come Wittmann. Now, that is for his regulation pit stop, but it'll be interesting to see what tyres they put Wittmann on, the championship leader. Here he comes down the pit lane. And now we are behind the safety car, aren't we? And the pit window, therefore, should not be being used in this way. Pit window closes, you get a 6-lap add-on at the end.
Yeah, it's a bolt-on, isn't it? Because of the safety car.
Yeah, but the safety car is still out there. Wittmann's retiring. Wittmann has got a problem. It's not a regulation stop. Wittmann has a problem.
No, he doesn't. Yes, he does.
Well, he thinks he has. The team, with a complete breakdown of communications, want him on the pit apron to do some work to the car. But this is a big loss of time. If he can stay on the lead lap, then okay, he'll rejoin at the back of the queue. But the championship leader, significantly, is in trouble.
I think he's convinced that car, it's all over.
But the team want him back out, look.
Well, this is extraordinary.
The plot thickens. Okay. The pit stop window will go up to lap 39 because of the safety car being out. This is the point we've been making. Extra laps are put on because of the safety car period. So, we lose the championship leader from round 2 of DTM with a big question mark over why that should be. The order is Jamie Green with the safety car in this lap ahead of Torbay Spengler 3rd, Tomczyk 4th, Scheider 5th. He lost time in that drama at turn 1 with Torbay and with Da Costa. 6th is Ham, 7th is Da Costa, 8th is Ekstrom, 9th is Martin, 10th at the moment, and things are going to change for sure, is Nico Muller. And Maxime Martin, 9th, somebody who is a driver who drives by grip more than anything else. And in these conditions, I think Maxime Martin, and I admit I'm a fan anyway, will gain a few more spots before the end. Martin could be a dark horse here.
Right. Green does what he needs to do and backs them up a little bit. Of course, he had a huge bunch of time, didn't he, that he'd created. Jamie Green's got to do all that hard work all over again right now as the safety car is in and we get the race resuming. The green flag goes down. So Green leads from Torbay. Then it is Spengler, Tomczyk, then Timo Scheider, and then Joey Hand.
And we have just over 20 minutes of the race remaining as the cars come out of turn 1. So what we now need to be looking for are those that have made the regulation stop, of which Mortara and Rockenfeller are the leading drivers now. Gary Paffett runs 18th, still I'm afraid to say last position. Others are dropping out. He's not in the points as Martin turns his way up past Joey Hand. I think Joey Hand has lost ground on the restart. Now this is the significant part of those that don't have to stop again. Mortara just ahead at the moment of Mike Rockenfeller.
Can I just say, Vitaly Petrov, despite clattering into the side of Paul di Resta, P11.
Rushing around, isn't he, you see? Getting himself up the order. Boom. Right, Rockenfeller wants to buy into this battle, doesn't he? Because he thinks he's got the pace to get past Mortara, and off the road has gone Wittmann. So he's back in the race, but he's off the track, and Wittmann is in 19th spot and he's lost a lap. So very perplexed as to what Wittmann's dramas are. We'll find out post-race. DTM.com is where you can find the news. But for the moment, the leaders work their way to the end of the back straight. Jamie Green is trying to get away, and it is Maxime Martin versus Nico Muller I was looking at, not Joey Hand. Here's Rockenfeller, who not only is still stuck behind Mortara, but he's also coming under attack because Vitoris now is in 14th spot and on the back of the yellow and green Audi.
So we watch this from overhead then. Mike Rockenfeller right in the middle there, trying to find a way past.
There's contact, you saw bits of debris fly.
Vitoris, is he going to be the big winner in this? Vitoris, the long drag down the home straight here. Then there is Christian Vitoris on the outside of the champion there. What a great shot that we're able to bring you. It's going to be tight as they break, and they've got to go into that turn. There's a little bit of a touch, but Vitoris is able to hold on, and he's gone past Mike Rockenfeller.
Don't think that'll go down well on the Audi pit wall. It was one Audi delaying another that's let a Mercedes get up and past. And now you've got Paul di Resta's Mercedes trying to buy into this, and he's taking Farfus with him as well, and a big twitch from Mortara there.
So Vitoris here, he will have seen that twitch from Mortara. Vitoris now dives up the inside there. Oh, are they going to touch? They're so close. So Mortara making that Audi as wide as he possibly can and closes the door on Vitoris. Rocky tries to fight back. In the background, you can see there Paul di Resta and also Augusto Farfus joining in that little party.
So Rockenfeller's attacking and defending. Farfus tries to nip up the inside of di Resta's Mercedes, but he can't quite do it. And while all this is going on, Jamie Green is building the lead once again. Look, he's in a world of his own. Second is Torbay, third is Spengler, fourth is Tomczyk, fifth is Scheider, sixth is Hand, seventh is now Da Costa, who's dropped back, eighth is Ekstrom, ninth is Martin, 10th is Muller. Best battles on at the moment here for 12, isn't it? Where you've got Mortara just ahead of Vitoris, and then Rockenfeller, and then di Resta and Farfus.
Absolutely amazing stuff that we're watching here. It is DTM, and it's round 2. We're at Oschersleben, and we have, well, just 17 minutes left of the race to run. Here is our race leader, Jamie Green, as in now comes Bruno Spengler. Also coming in is Joey Hand.
That's after 33 laps, and we've got 17 minutes on the clock still. Wet tyres going to be the answer. It's not dry enough for anybody to make a gamble. And don't forget now, they have to lap 39 before everybody has to serve that second stop. So there's going to be another shuffle in the order. Don't forget the leader has got to come in. Tombé's got to come in. Tomczyk has got to come in. The leading three, for example. So things are going to change before the very end. That is for certain. We've got now 16 and a half minutes to go. We're on lap 34, but it's going to go to time, I think, rather than the number of laps.
You're absolutely right there. So we just saw in shot there Marco Wittmann, who goodness only knows what happened there. We saw him try and retire the car into the pit lane. The crew had got a completely different idea and he's back out on track again. Meantime, Vitoris has not been able to find his way past Mortara. So Mortara still able to hold on there. So it's Mortara, then it's Vitoris, then it's Rockefeller, then it's Paul di Resta, Farfus and Vitaly Petrov with Gary Paffett in the mix now.
What makes this battle crucial, Dave, is that none of them have to stop again under the regulations because they've all done a stop within the window. So this lot can carry on battling to the very end. They will gain places as well as others pit. But what you're seeing now is going to be crucial to the end result as they change places. And that's why there's so much commitment in this battle. This is genuine.
So there is Paul di Resta, there's Farfus going through. See.
Look who's on the back of it.
Yeah, Gary Paffett. Oh, picking up some debris there as he drove through, still defending against Christian Vitoris.
It's Mortara who takes a wider line into the last corner, coming up onto the pit straight as they work their way out of the Zeppelin Cat Curve, as it's known. Over the timing line comes Mortara with Vitoris going strongly. Into the pits has come Petrov, and also in has come Nico Müller now to change tyres.
So heavy braking from Mortara. Vitoris not able to do anything there. He gets right alongside Mortara now, though, but it's a long way around the outside, and he's got Mike Rockefeller breathing down his neck as well. And not far behind that is Paul di Resta also. Di Resta's Mercedes just steps out a little bit at the rear. Still treacherous or difficult conditions out there for them, but now Christian Vitoris does go through.
And Rockefeller tries to find a gap as well, but Vitoris has done it, so he's gone through as now he takes over the mantle of being the best place of those that have made the pit stop in the window and doesn't have to stop again therefore. So this battle, as I say, will run to the end, and this helps Vitoris working his way up the order. And don't forget, of course, that he started on wet tyres. He lost a whole chunk of time early on. Rockefeller attacking Mortara yet again, and he's got the speed, hasn't he? He's being held up by Mortara, and Audi, I suspect, should have made a call a little while ago to say Rocky's quicker, let him by. Certainly now I expect that to come from the pit wall.
Yes, I think you're right. Whilst all this is going on, Paul di Resta now taking a look, so too Augusto Farfus. Rockefeller dives to the inside there, but not quite close enough to be able to make it happen. Well, whether the radio is not working or not, but he ain't getting that call, is he?
Not yet, but he is now. Let's
yes.
Rockefeller go. Beautifully done, because he switches back online. Defence from di Resta, who goes to the inside. Can't do it. Rockefeller's getting away. And now Mortara's job is to make that Audi as wide for di Resta as he's made it for the last couple of laps ahead of Rockefeller. Tombé has just pitted, incidentally, out of second spot.
So now it's green from Tomczyk. And we're just on board there with Gary Paffett. There goes Mike Rockefeller through. And there you can see Gary Paffett just on the back of that bunch of 6 cars there. So on board with Gary Paffett, who interestingly, whether it's indicative of the spray that's being thrown up from the cars in front, has now got his wipers on intermittent.
There's Tombé rejoining the race. Pit stop done, and has he stayed ahead of Spengler? If he has, he's kept track position on that pit stop, which is crucial. What we also need to see is where Tombé has slotted in relative to Vitoris. Where that battle is, that I keep banging on about being good to go to the end, that's crucial that these people now making a pit stop come out ahead of it. They should do, given the time, but you know, you're talking about 30 seconds, so it's actually a bit doubtful. Let's have a look at the end of this lap. There's Maxime Martin. Right, there is Mike Rockefeller. Ahead of him is Vitoris. So I think this is going to be the battle for the lead, because if a pit stop's going to take you 30 seconds and Jamie Green to Christian Vitoris is 16.6, Vitoris could win this.
Okay, so there's Rocky, who, we're just hearing information. We think the battle is going to be between Green and Rockefeller. We're just looking at our notes here because so much has gone on in this race. So if it is going to be a battle between Green and Rocky, and they're Paul di Resta and Augusto Farfus getting together there whilst we continue to look to make sure who has done what in terms of pit stops. So, Green, Tomczyk, Timo Scheider, then it's Da Costa, Ekstrom. And where are we in terms of time? 11.5 minutes. Jamie Green back to Mike Rockenfeller. There is the gap over the last 3 laps.
Vitoris made his stop on lap 19, which was in the window, wasn't it? Because that opened at 17. So he got it out of the way early doors. I'm convinced he's legit in this.
Well,
Jamie Green is hustling on. He's got to try and build up half a minute over Vitoris, and it's not happening.
no, absolutely.
Now, Mike Rockenfeller is, in terms of an Audi battle, 2 seconds back from Vitoris, but even that isn't going to help Jamie Green. So by getting the second stop, I know they don't have to make 2 under the regulations, but by a second stop being a necessity, given they all had to stop for wets early on and then a regulation pit stop, I know it's all very confusing, but by doing that early, Rockenfeller has been helped. Now, Jamie Green's crew is ready, but he needs to get this done.
Yeah, but what are they putting on? This is what I want to know, and I know I harped on about this, David, but I reckon that is drying significantly now.
Could be.
Is Jamie going to take that big gamble?
The rain has stopped, the road is drying, and if those are slicks, and there's a suggestion coming from the pit lane that they will be, this may not save him, but it's going to help because he will lose 30 seconds by making the stop. That's what the teams tell us a pit stop is around here. So here is Jamie Green. Is he going to come in this time? Of course, the tyres are in blankets, so they'll have some warmth.
Yes,
but it still needs proper operating temperature to be put in them. We're on lap 38, but we've only got just under 10 minutes to go.
So we're watching Jamie Green. And is Jamie Green going to stop this time?
Now, Jamie Green started on the option tyre. You can use the option tyre for 25 laps maximum. He has still got an opportunity to put the options back on and get to the end of that 25 lap period that you're allowed to use them for. So that's why they're keeping him out, so they can work it backwards and run a maximum of that number of laps on the option tyre.
He's in. He is in. Jamie Green is in. Forgive me cutting across you there. You're doing all the mathematics here and trying to work it out in terms of how it's going to work.
But go with the rest of it, because Scheider, Da Costa, Ekstrom and Martin are all in, and if they go onto slicks, we're going to have one heck of a battle to the end. It is slicks for Jamie.
Slicks. And not only is it slicks, but options as well. Green goes, and that was so close. I really thought there was going to be a collision there. So Green goes, and it was Antonio Felix da Costa that I thought was going to clatter Jamie Green. So we've got 8.5 minutes remaining in this race. The laps have stopped at the top of your screen, and we are onto a clock now.
Okay, so the car's back on track. The order at the end of this we will see. And there is Maxime Martin rejoining. There is Scheider, who is ahead of Da Costa. So that stays. Tombe is behind them, so Tombe has lost out on the pit stop. Jamie Green has hung on in there, look, ahead of Timo Scheider. For the moment, Martin Tomczyk leads the way, but he has got to stop again.
So then, with just under 8 minutes left to run. Now, I know you've got your eyes focused on the timing screen there, because once Jamie Green does get those tyres up to operating temperatures, he gets a very sideways moment there. The yellow band around those tyres tells us it's the option tyre, which of course he is now allowed to run to the end of the race, because you're only allowed to use them for a duration. And Jamie was within that duration as Nico Müller has an off, but gets going once again.
Tomczyk is in the pit lane as the notional race leader, and he's gone to the very end of the window. Now Vitoris leads the race. He's 1.2 seconds ahead of Mike Rockenfeller, and Rockenfeller is lapping quicker. So the battle to win the race is on track between Vitoris and Rockenfeller, and a Mercedes could win the race.
I'm almost speechless.
What a race! Mortara will run third, and Jamie Green,
here's Green,
who looked an odds-on winner, of course, because of the way the pit stops have taken out and the way people have played the strategy, he now finds himself mired down towards the bottom end of the top 6. I'll go through the order at the end of the lap, but trust me, Tomczyk has pitted, Vitoris now leads from Rockenfeller, and Rockenfeller is quicker in the first sector. There he is. Mike Rockenfeller could yet score a victory, but so too could Christian Vitoris, who has never had a DTM victory.
Well, there they are. Very, very close, and Rocky is gaining. So Christian Vitoris, then the pressure, the might, the weight of expectation that will be on that driver now, particularly with what Mercedes have gone through, and the champion behind him. So there is Christian Vitoris. And there is Mike Rockenfeller. We have just 6 minutes remaining. Vitoris needs to make that Mercedes as wide as he possibly can, because we're keeping an eye on the times here, and well, Vitoris is quick, but Rocky is marginally quicker.
5 3/4 minutes to go. The best result that Vitoris has had in the DTM has been a 3rd place, and he's got, don't forget, the reigning champion breathing down his neck. The gap was 1 second at the start of this lap. Right, 3rd at the moment is Eduardo Mortara. 4th is Paul de Resta. Yes, 4th is Paul de Resta. 5th is Augusto Farfus. 6th is Miguel Molina. Gary Paffett is 7th. Martin Tomczyk is 8th. He's got ahead of Jamie Green, and
yes,
this is how he did it. Green is 9th, and Scheider is 10th. And we're going to be asking questions later, so I hope you're all keeping up with this in what has been the best DTM race for a long, long time.
Absolutely extraordinary. Right, for 5, what are going to seem like huge long minutes for Christian Vitoris. He's got to hold on here. What would this do to the confidence and hope for Mercedes? It would make them feel so good. They need a boost. They were torrid at Hockenheim. They've had a terrible time here, but the weather, the safety cars, everything has played into their hands, hasn't it?
I don't want to go and talk to Jamie Green after this. I mean, he drove so well in the middle stint, and at the moment he's 9th. I mean, there's no justice. Well, there is in a sense, because here are people that have played the strategy game brilliantly, and Christian Vitoris, who's been rather anonymous for the bulk of the race, now, when it matters, because of the way that they've played the strategy, works out absolutely perfectly. And the HWA, is this significant as well after the recent dismissal of Gerhard Unger? The HWA run Mercedes leads the way. Look, he's going for the wet part of the road to prolong the life in those tyres. He stopped on lap 19. These wets have gone a long way.
Right, the gap has come down, but we have only 4 minutes left to run, David Addison. This is going to be a fight to the finish.
These two pitted on the same lap, just going back through my anorak pocket. DRS is currently being closed, so they don't have that opportunity to use that for extra car speed. The point I'm getting to is that both of these cars have run this set of tyres for the same amount of time. So they're in the same boat in terms of grip level. Yes, paddling.
Extraordinary. Jamie Green there. And Timo Scheider.
This is for 9th, incidentally. This is for 2 points and 1 point, respectively. It doesn't seem fair, does it, after all the work they put in up at the pointy end of the grid, but the 2 Audis running together. What a race.
So, we have just over 3 minutes left. Scheider is all over the back of Jamie Green. Jamie Green, who drove so incredibly during the middle part of this race. Well, I say middle part, there have been so many different parts to this race. It has been amazing. And right, under 3 minutes now for this Mercedes of Christian Vitoris. Mike Rockenfeller, the current champion, is P2. And Mortara is P3.
For now, and then De Resta, Farfus, Molina ran out the top 6, and Farfus is only 8/10ths back from De Resta. He's as close to De Resta as Rockenfeller is to Vitoris. So Farfus 5th despite penalties. They go through, 2.5 minutes remain. It'll be this lap and one more.
One more. My goodness. Look at the tension on the pit perch. So there is our champion, Mike Rockenfeller, who is currently P2. There, the race leader is Christian Vitoris, and Rocky is getting ever closer.
He's having a look. He's trying to not only find a gap, but he's also trying to assess the grip levels, isn't he, and work out where he can push, because really he's going to get one chance at this.
Yes.
But bear in mind that Christian Vitoris has overtaken Rockenfeller within this stint, and that surely says something about the way that Mercedes is set up.
Perhaps so. Yes, perhaps so. And, well, Vitoris with under 2 minutes left to run. he will be ever conscious of the fact that Rocky is lurking.
He started 16th on the grid, Christian Vittoris. But next time we have a qualifying session, you can take it with a pinch of obligatory salt, I think, because for this race it's proved very little at all. Rockenfeller, bear in mind, started 5th, but Vittoris just, I know it's only 0.6 of a second this gap, but he just seems to have everything under control.
Yes, he does.
When he needs to push, he can just eke it out a fraction more.
Well, Christian Vittoris, then it's Mike Rockenfeller. Rocky running just a little bit wider than Vittoris did as we get the last lap board. Right, can Vittoris hold on for one more lap? Rocky is going to turn the wick up now. He knows it's got to be a last lap lunge, doesn't he?
And he's going to get one shot at it. He can't try at every corner. He's going to, I think, have one go, and he needs to be really confident late on the brakes. That's why he wants to know where the grip is. The emotion is the same. Tension at Mercedes, tension at Audi. Vittoris could well be the hero of the race for sure, not only by winning, but by giving Mercedes this massive shot in the arm that it needs. But Mike Rockenfeller is upholding Audi's honour. 20 laps ago it was Jamie Green, now it is Mike Rockenfeller, and for my money he is not getting close enough. I think Vittoris is going to be the 66th different winner in the history of the DTM. He's got half a lap to go.
So Christian Vittoris, is he going to be able to hold on for this? David, you're absolutely right. I don't think Rocky, although he turns it up a little bit now, does Mike Rockenfeller. My goodness, look at the clock at the top of your screen.
He ran too wide, didn't he, coming out of the hotel curve, and he just lost him a length.
So Christian Vittoris, as you say, wouldn't this be such a shot in the arm to Mercedes, who've had such a torrid start to their DTM season? This is round 2 here at Oschersleben, and it would be wholly unexpected. But for Mercedes to take the victory, it's possible because Mercedes are leading. There is our leading man, Christian Vittoris. Mike Rockenfeller is right on him now, though. So no DRS being used. It's going to be down to surely Christian Vittoris has done enough as they head towards the checkered flag. Mercedes wins.
What a race, what a drive. Christian Vittoris wins by 0.6 of a second. Mike Rockenfeller takes second place. Eduardo Mortara third, fourth Paul di Resta, fifth Augusto Farfus, and sixth from the back of the grid, Miguel Molina. And Mercedes' emotions could not be more different from 24 hours ago. Nose to tail for seventh. Timo Scheider comes home ahead of Gary Paffett, and we've lost Jamie Green on the last lap. He's not come through. Ninth is Tomczyk, 10th is Tombe. Then it's Da Costa, Spengler, Ekstrom. That's Jamie Green on the last lap of the race. You could not make this up.
Oh, having done so well.
Jamie, what has happened? I'm tempted to suggest that he didn't do that on his own. We'll wait and see a replay. But given how things have been, it could have been that there was a little bit of an assist in that. Wolfgang Schattling breathes the biggest sigh of relief he's ever had.
Well, he's certainly going to be in a different temper tonight, isn't he, than he has been. Christian Vittoris taking that win. Called absolutely correctly. Wow.
Well, we saw it coming, didn't we? With 30 seconds for a pit stop, and he was 17 seconds back from Jamie Green at the time. We were right to look at it, Dave. And Christian Vittoris, bear in mind, had worked his way through the traffic, and he got himself up there. Let's hear from Wolfgang Schattling of Mercedes. He will be one happy man.
Oh, he is so happy. Just watching him, I mean, you are raving, absolutely. What an unexpected victory. We had a crazy race. Did you at all think at the beginning that Mercedes-Benz would be winning, and now how do you feel that you won?
It's unbelievable. What an experience. I never thought we would make it, and in the end it came out in our favor. It was absolutely fantastic and unexpected.
And also it was the first victory of Christian Vittoris. What do you say about that?
It's fantastic because he's a real good rain driver, and we always knew it, and before the start he was a little disappointed that it's not going to rain today. We said, wait and see.
And everybody was bashing on Mercedes-Benz because you had a bad start at Hockenheimring. Is this the turn now that from here on it's going to go upward, hopefully?
We still have a long way to go. This was a special race with some special circumstances. Let's wait and see, but we will come back.
But for now, enjoy the victory. Thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Verena. It's just so nice to see Wolfgang Schattling with a smile on his face, because it hasn't been for a long while, I can tell you.
Same with many of the Mercedes people. And is this the turning point? I think the answer is yes, if it rains at every race.
Yes.
We're back. But yes, there is still clearly work to do. Had that been a dry race, it would have been a completely different outcome. As it happens, conditions as Jamie Green trudges away. We have had one of the best DTM races in a long, long time, and poor old Jamie Green can feel a bit hard done by, can't he? The Keep Fighting Michael hashtag is there on all the cars to encourage Michael Schumacher's recovery. And Christian Vittoris wins for the very first time in the DTM. What a drive, what a race. And although we've talked about the fact that he has done a superb job, credit goes to his team as well, because the guys on the pit wall that said, yeah, okay, let's bring you in and put you on wets, and then he made another stop for wets early in that pit window and got it out of the way. They read that race and those weather predictions to a T.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So we see Mike Rockenfeller remove his helmet then. What an extraordinary race we have had. DTM here at Oschersleben, as discussions go on there on BMW. And here comes Christian to enjoy more of those moments. And wow.
But the thought of us saying Mercedes wins after what we'd had in qualifying yesterday is just extraordinary, because we didn't have a single Mercedes get into Q2. Sorry, into Q1, I should say. We lost some in Q3, hadn't we? In Q1, but we got the bulk bumped out after Q2. And so to have a Mercedes victorious now is just extraordinary. And Christian Vittoris, who we always knew was quick, has underlined the point. Great defensive driving as well, with Mike Rockenfeller behind. You made the point, you've got the former Le Mans winner and the reigning champion breathing down your neck. Christian Vittoris the winner by just over 0.6 of a second.
And Christian Vittoris then, confirmation he takes the win from Mike Rockenfeller. Edo Mortara P3, Paul Di Resta P4. What a result for Paul. His return to DTM, Augusto Farfus P5, then it was Molina Scheider, Paffett P8, then Tomczyk Tombe, Antonio Felix da Costa, Spengler, Ekstrom, then Maxime Martin, Joey Hand, Nico Muller, Vitaly Petrov. Words fail me. You know, you will not see a more dramatic race, I wouldn't have thought.
Christian Vittoris, who was always a good peddler in single-seaters, runner-up in the F3 Euro Series, for example, now proving his worth in a touring car. And, of course, the DTM car, different from many racing machines in that it really helps the drivers that know about aero and downforce that have come out of single-seater racing, and Vittoris underlining why he was a good choice by Mercedes. Eduardo Mortara takes third position in his Audi. In the end, he was 7 seconds back from this man, Mike Rockenfeller, who gave it everything in those last few laps. And had he not been held up early on by Mortara in that third stint and lost a place to Vittoris, it could have been a different story altogether. Mortara may not be the most popular man in Audi, but this man is certainly a hero as far as Mercedes is concerned. His first victory in the DTM. Christian Vittoris turns around the fortunes of a manufacturer that yesterday had all of its mechanics seemingly on suicide watch, because they've won a race by 0.6 of a second. Mercedes victorious at Oschersleben.
And there we can see just how happy they were in that garage. Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich is with Verena now.
What a really dramatic race, crazy. I mean, it was a jungle out there. And then, I mean, Audi was pushing so hard. However, now Rocky in P2 and Mortara in P3. How do you feel about the outcome?
Yeah, I mean, the outcome was very much as well defined by the base cars. I think everybody could see that all our cars had a really good performance. Good to have two cars on the podium, for sure. But I think today more would have been easily possible. But sometimes you have to gamble, and sometimes the gamble works out. But yeah, I think it's important for us to see that we have really a strong squad, and all the cars have been running very well. It's, for me, a good chance to look into a good season, and I hope that we can bring the results that we have seen, that we have a good base for.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Ulrich, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Verena. So Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich then saying how he feels as we see Christian Vittoris there.
I think Wolfgang Ulrich can be very content with that, because he has proved that the Audis have got the pace.
Yes.
He knows that it was a freak race given the conditions for Mercedes, yes. But he's also a racer at heart, and if he has to lose, I think he'd quite like to lose in a race like that.
Drivers' Championship then, Mike Rockenfeller at the top of the points with 30. Then it is Christian Vittoris on 25 points with Marco Wittmann tied, same number of points. Then it's Matthias Ekström. Then we see Tom Bay, Mortara, Farfus, and Paul de Resta is 8th in the points with Timo Glock 9th and Miguel Molina in 10th place in the Drivers' Championship. Round 2 of the DTM then here at Oschersleben. Well, I can't wait for Hungaroring at the beginning of June, I can tell you.
Well, it's a circuit the current generation of car hasn't been to. The championship has been there in the past, but not for a long, long time. It's another very different circuit. Whether or not the rain has been ordered for that weekend, I'm not sure, but I suspect that Wolfgang Schattling would have already been on the phone to try and organise it if possible, because as he's congratulated by Jens Marquardt, what a race that has been. And okay, as I say, it's been a freak result in many ways because of the nature of the rain coming and the way that people had to read the strategy. But Christian Vittoris drove a superb race. Bear in mind, he'd only been on the podium once before, and that was on the 3rd step, and now he is a winner. And for a manufacturer which was really struggling yesterday, they're slightly in disbelief, all of these guys.
Yes, I think you're right. But it is the boost that they so need, isn't it? And as Schattling said, you know, it's not all over yet. We've still got an awful lot of work to do, but actually this is just a nice little cheer up for us, isn't it? And what it is for that guy and his confidence will be, well, exceptional, won't it?
So the drivers making their way to the winner's room behind the podium, ready for the celebrations. And in a few moments' time, the presentation party will be made ready. There should also be, I think, Fabian Jung to represent HWA now that Christian Vittoris has taken his first victory. And there is Mike Rockenfeller. There is a happy, if slightly bemused, Christian Vittoris. Like, really? Yeah. I won it?
Yes, I think you're right.
And Edo Mortara will be there as well. So I think we are almost ready to get the drivers out onto the podium. And round 2 of the DTM has certainly delivered action, certainly delivered a jumbled result compared to the grid. And the beer is open already.
Yes.
Who can blame? So there should be an enormous cheer, I think, when out comes Christian Vittoris. The drivers are ready. Audi management ruefully think about a 2nd and a 3rd in that race, but it could have been different. I still think that Mortara was responsible for delaying Rockenfeller, and that gave Vittoris that chance, and without that, could have been a different story. We saw the change happen ultimately that kept them ahead of de Resta, but I think they should have done it sooner. Anyway, what's done is done. There, the top 3 drivers. The 2 Audi representatives, Mike Rockenfeller for 2nd and Edo Mortara for 3rd. But the winner of round 2 is Christian Vittoris, and Fabian Jung of HWA AG is there as well to represent the winning team, as we now have the national anthem for Christian Vittoris.
So the national anthem plays out then for Christian Vittoris. My goodness. Not sure either of us thought that we would be saying that at the end of this race.
Not at all. Extraordinary race. And as Herr Thomas Webel, the Minister of Transport for Saxony-Anhalt, steps forward to hand over the winner's trophy, Christian Vittoris is a winner. in the DTM. His first victory, and it's a very popular result indeed. The 66th different driver to win a race in the history of the championship. For second place, we will have the trophy soon, but first of all, it is Fabian Jung who receives the trophy as the winning constructor from Manfred Sandbichler, the Hankook Motorsport Director of Europe. Hankook tyres, of course, are on every car, and they've certainly got through a fair number of them in that race. The second place trophy is handed by Thomas Voss, the Managing Director for Motorsport Arena Oschersleben GmbH. And then at the other end of the podium, Jürgen Riedemann will step forward to hand over the trophy to Eduardo Mortara, and he is the sporting director of the ADAC in this region. So the drivers have their trophies. Dieter Gass sees 2 of his 3 drivers on the podium, but not quite on the step he wanted.
No.
And we will now have the drivers together for photographs. And then the Henkel Trocken is at the feet of the drivers. The drivers are there, the bottles are ready, and the Henkel Trocken is sprayed at the end of round 2 of DTM 2014, with Christian Vitoris taking his first victory. Mike Rockenfeller and Eduardo Mortara there on the podium. An extraordinary race, and Fabian Jung from HWA is the man that cops the bulk of the fizz right in the face. But I think when you've just scored such a win like that, you can cope, can't you? And so's the Audi mechanics, also with a beer in hand, celebrate their hard work for the day. Some real hard luck stories. Jamie Green going off on the very last lap. We lost Marco Wittmann, having of course been running in that leading group. We lost Pascal Wehrlein with an off. We lost Danny Jean-Claude with his mechanical dramas. We lost Timo Glock with damage. We lost Robert Wickens with damage as well. A race full of drama, full of incident, and a Mercedes victor, and nobody would have predicted that. Again, it shows just what an effect the rain can have on a race, and if that bottle of fizz doesn't smash, it will go to the team. Let's hear from the race winner, Christian Vitoris with Verena.
And here I am with a very, very happy winner, the first victory in your DTM career. And my God, you were on fire. Where did you come from? That is the first question. And then if I would have asked you this morning, can you imagine winning this race? What would you have said?
Well, maybe not winning, but obviously the weather conditions are helping us. That's when it counts. On dry conditions, we are at the moment not competitive, so we have to do it on wet conditions. And yeah, the team did an awesome job. We tried everything. We pitted before the race even started. That didn't work out, but at the end the strategy was just perfect. And yeah, big congrats to the team. They're working so hard, even if the car at the moment is not competitive. Just very happy.
So I guess this is a confident boost that you and especially Mercedes-Benz really needed, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the guys were working so hard over the winter time, and then to find out on the first race that the car is not competitive, obviously is a little bit demotivating for the guys. But this is now showing our good team spirit, and hopefully we can improve the car pretty quickly.
You did a phenomenal job. Thank you very much, Christian. And yeah, I'm going to see where the other two are. Back to you for now.
Thanks very much, Verena. So it is a win for Christian Vitoris. He's still admitting that the car in full dry conditions is not as competitive as it needs to be, but he can take that victory, and he is a very happy man indeed. We'll hear from Mike Rockenfeller and Eduardo Mortara very shortly. In fact, let's hear now from Mike Rockenfeller himself.
Here he is, the reigning champ, Rocky. Phenomenal job you did, ended up on P2. In your eyes, how did the race go?
Well, unbelievable. In the middle of the race, I was just so frustrated, you know. At the beginning, I knew that we have the wrong tire. This was not my choice yesterday, so I was even more upset. But then all of a sudden, let's say the guys made a wrong call yesterday with the tire at the beginning, but therefore they made it up at the end when they called me in at the right time. This was really outstanding. I think that was crucial. Again, if you want to win this championship, you have to be there all the time. We were again on the podium, so I'm very happy, very satisfied. Of course, you can say I even could have won the race, but I think the chance that we scored 0 points was much higher.
And you are back in the lead of the championship.
which is nice. This is always good, but it's so early. Like last year, you just continue, you know, try to do your best. There's stuff we can improve. Qualifying, I'm still not good enough, so we need to work on that for the next race in Budapest, which is in 2 weeks already, which is good. We keep the rhythm, and of course we fight hard.
Of course you will. Thank you so much, Rocky. And let's see if we can grab Eduardo. There he is. Hey, Edo. First of all, congratulations. A really interesting race that was, and you ending up on the podium. How do you feel?
It feels good, especially after such a dramatic, let's say, 2013 season and an unlucky race weekend in Hockenheim, where I think we should have been already on the podium there. But so it's a nice feeling. I would have hoped for a little more, especially because I was the first to have done, you know, the 2 pit stops. Unfortunately, the tire pressures were too low when we restarted on safety car, and I was really having some problems to make the corners. So I was sliding all around, and we lost the race there. Fortunately, the grip came a little bit too late, but third place is already good, and we're looking forward for the next races.
So we thank you very much, and back to you guys.
Thank you, Verena. I wonder how much of a conversation he's had with Rocky.
Don't know. There's still an element of frustration on his face as we look at some of the highlights of the race, including Marco Wittmann's first lap drama. Matthias Ekström busy in traffic, and he saw Timo Glock make that move against Rockenfeller. I'd forgotten about the contact to Rocky's car as well late in the race, because he was lucky to survive that, wasn't he, without any damage. But I still think, and we may see it in this highlights sequence now, that Mortara held Rockenfeller up, and that's what enabled Vitoris to get past him. This was Jamie Green versus Timo Scheider. And both of them, when the track was at its wettest, scrabbling for grip, and you can see how wet it was. That was Rockenfeller going backwards, having been attacked by Glock. He lost momentum. De Resta off the road, finished 4th. I mean, it's just an extraordinary race.
So that was Timo Glock in then. You see Augusto Farfus through the windscreen in, and here we can see, and we've not mentioned him perhaps over the highlight sequence that we're seeing here. Jamie Green, I was going to say, outstanding drive from Jamie Green. Also an outstanding drive early on from Gary Paffett.
Yes, indeed, who in the end finished in 8th place, and therefore in the points. Augusto Farfus, unlucky that he had a 5-second penalty, because if you take that off, he would have been on the podium. Timo Glock on the door, I think, is going to be one of those shots we see as it came off in his hand. Farfus versus Molina, who gets into the back of the BMW and just edges Farfus out wide. And in the end, it was Farfus, who was still the best of the BMW drivers, to come home in 5th place. And all those drivers that stayed out and made the stops late in the window towards the very end of the race just did it far too late, didn't they? Timo Glock gets out of his car and thinks, there's a door there that looks just like mine. And seeing that he played with Lego as a child, he knows exactly how to fit Part A into Tab B.
There you go. Tomczyk then finished at P9. Look how much of that sausage they take on the S there.
Yeah. But P9 ain't bad, because he was never really a factor, if you like, for the race lead. And yet behind him, Adrian Tombay 10th, who was always up at the pointy end until we got to the last stint of the race. And Jamie Green, brilliant in the middle middle stint. This lock-up he has coming into the pit lane. But in the end, off the road he went on the very last lap. Big frustration for him.
Well,
some great shots of turn 1, 3 wide. They go around the right in the middle of all of that Farfus. That was Mortara trying to wriggle away past. Mike Rockenfeller further up the road. Tomczyk flashes past. Fantastic racing. People say there's too much aero on a DTM car and they can't overtake. Well, given the right track conditions, boy, they can overtake.
Yes. And the team there in the Audi garage. And the front end of Jamie Green's car took a bit of a pelting over the course of the race, didn't it?
I love it, the fact that they spend hours in wind tunnels. They spend hours doing free practice to try and get the aero sorted, and then they rub like that and destroy it. And that was Jamie seemingly on his own. Now, was that incident caused by a loss of aero? Hard to gauge in the sequence of those pictures. That was Molina being elbowed out by Joey Hand, a helping hand, I think that was. So he straight lines the chicane. That was on one of the restarts when the road was at its wettest. But this is going to be the defining moment, isn't it? A Mercedes winning out of nowhere.
Look at it's just the sigh of relief, isn't it, David?
Absolutely. Relief, bewilderment and delight from the engineers as after all of their travails, Christian Vitoris comes home. And if we were to have said, oh, by the way, Mercedes won out of nowhere at Oschersleben, you might say, oh, was it Jamie Green? Or, sorry, was it Gary Paffett?
Yes,
as somebody who has been a stalwart Mercedes
Absolutely.
racer. But to have Vittorius take his first win just makes it even more surreal.
Yes.
Still intrigued to know what happened to Marco Wittmann, because he made that pit stop that seemed to be full of confusion.
Yeah, he was retiring the car, wasn't he? He drove it into the garage, and the crew said, no.
And they got him back out, but then he went a lap down. In fact, did he get to the end? Yes, he did, but he lost a lap, and big frustration for him. So there's an awful lot to catch up on post-race. Those that are out of the points, Felix da Costa, Spengler, Ekstrom, Martin, so much for my prediction about him coming good on a wet road, Hand, Muller and Petrov of those that finished. But again, the reason I mentioned that long list is because a number of those drivers were looking racy early on. But the way that different people have worked the strategy has given us that remarkable result. Mike Rockenfeller, interesting to hear him saying that it wasn't his choice to start on the hard tyre and that he didn't agree with it. Interesting. Begs the question, whose decision was it? Why can't the driver influence it? But one school of thought is that you should go the option tyre in the second stint, because if there's been a safety car, you need them on at the end when everything's bunched up. If you do them at the start and there's a safety car,
well, it's a real gamble. It's more of a gamble at the start.
But yet increasingly, drivers seem to want them in the first stint. I know this has been a rogue race because of the weather and safety cars, so you can't read too much into a pattern of how to use the tyres yet. But it's interesting that drivers seem to prefer to use them in that first stint.
Well, we'll see how the season develops, won't we? Get a nice aerial shot of the Oschersleben circuit here. We're, I guess, a couple of hours from Berlin. We're betwixt Berlin and Hanover, really. And this circuit, which, as you so described, is shaped like a sort of bent paperclip, really, isn't it? It's a challenging circuit, that's for sure.
Absolutely, it's about downforce.
So different to Hockenheim.
It's such a different venue from Hockenheim, where the championship has been, or indeed the next stop, which is the Hungaroring, which is a circuit which people in Formula One say is hard to overtake around. It may be the same for a DTM car, but of course they have absolutely no data on which to rely, so that's going to be a fascinating race.
So it's been an amazing race that we hope you've enjoyed with us, to see Mercedes take a hugely unexpected win, and dare I say it, probably an unexpected Mercedes driver to take that win in Christian Vittorius, Mike Rockenfeller in second place, and then to take P3 Edo Mortara, the top three. And we'll be heading off to the press conference in due course. Meantime, we're taking a look at the circuit here,
and it has given us a